Yeah, we're close enough. See, we had 5 seconds left, but I make the rules here. Okay, Toledo Bend looks beautiful. You know it, it always does. I love this camera. 67 degrees out there. Dew point is 54. Doesn't get any better than this. Of course, we have to pay a price, but looking out at the Rapides Hospital camera, the temperature sensor is messed up, but it is looking lovely as well. So it looks like, you know, a nice day today. We'll be in the mid 80s. You can see down southwest there's something going on. This right here, that's the remnants of 90L that have kind of dug down that way, and 91 is down here, and look at all that lightning out there. And I'm going to show you the satellite in just a minute. I can't remember seeing this deep of thunderstorms in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, that's not to say this is the strongest system I've ever seen, a far cry from it, but you'll see this huge red mass down there, and it's just like the cloud tops in this are measuring about 90 below 0 Celsius, which is just, it's not off the charts, but it's at the top of it. Low to mid 70s by 10 a.m. We're in the mid 80s today, low humidity. Today's great. The day planner, it's going to show you that it's great as well here. So we got to get through the little forecast formalities, and then we'll get into the big stuff here. Upper 60s to start tomorrow. Lots of sun today in the 80s, but watch what happens here. Here's your first hint on things changing. The dew points, look at them surge northward. We got a little break into tomorrow morning, but there comes the moisture. That's going to surge on in, and that's kind of ahead of this system. Now, tomorrow I expect some storms in the area as the moisture increases, and we kind of get into those outer bands of things, and this is going to show you a good idea of what I think is going to happen for tomorrow especially. I didn't take it too far into the future because I don't want to really hone in on an exact track just yet, but here is a look at the Barron model showing that we have moisture returning by tomorrow, clouds coming in, and there's your storm update there. Probably around 2 p.m. we'll get these things to come on in the area, and it's going to surge through. I think tomorrow we get maybe an hour or two of rain that kind of breaks out, but then look down to the southwest by 2 a.m. Saturday. I'm really stuck in the weekend here, but 2 a.m. Wednesday, that's when things start to really come inland here. This model has kind of leaned on that western talking about. I mean, just that solid blob of red like that. This thing is organizing right now. In fact, the plane is in this, and I'm watching the plane as it continues to report. I think they missed the center by a little bit to the south earlier. And just looking at what they've been seeing so far, you know, this would be a tropical storm at worst if this actually had developed that low-level circulation. There is definitely a circulation, but I don't know if it's going to be concentrated enough. This could be more of a trough axis where it's not quite that sharp, and we don't have that traditional, real intense spin near the center of a developing tropical system. Now, there are tons of thunderstorms, no shortage of that, and I think this is going to get us a named system by later on today, and that would be Francine. Here are your spaghetti models. Remember yesterday these were just west of us. Things look terrible. Well, they don't look great today, but it does look like a little bit of a shift to the east. Now you can see they are pretty clustered, and we've seen that very subtle kind of windshield wiper effect, where they go a little like this, little to the east, little back to the west. So today the question is, once we get better data in here, do these slide a little further west, a little further east? Because if they go a little further west, that's obviously right over the top of the middle of Louisiana. If they go a little further east, we're talking Baton Rouge, New Orleans having some big problems here, because I do think we're going to see a Category 1 and possibly a Category 2 hurricane out of this. So current forecast kind of runs this in near New Iberia and then right up the Mississippi River. But there's room to wiggle on that, about 50 to 100 miles either way. I think now that we're kind of on the eastern side, we might see a little bit more of a push to the east, but the big question is going to be what happens with the models this morning, and those just are not coming in quite yet. And that's why I wait until early afternoon to kind of put out an update. Here are the currents with it: 50-mile-per-hour winds, even though this is not a named system because it doesn't have a closed, well-defined circulation. But Category 1 hurricane Wednesday at 1. I know it's tough to see that under Houston. 80-mile-per-hour winds there. Still has a little time, though. I think we'll see some less favorable conditions as this approaches the coast. And one interesting note here is, notice this is coming in from the southwest to the northeast, then we get a little bend back kind of more toward the north, especially on some of these models. They really turn it up to the north here, right in our eastern parishes. So if that happens, that's going to give us a little more residence time with that rain and give us some heavier totals there. So now I see I'm freaking out. I wouldn't freak out. This is a Category 1 storm that we're forecasting here, and while you want to be ready for it and everything, Laura was a 4, borderline 5, and that obviously obviously reshaped the landscape quite literally of southwest Louisiana. A 1 is going to be different. Now, that being said, with those thunderstorms that are so impressive down there, it's something I'm really going to be watching to see how quickly this organizes, because once we get a core in there, it's not going to take long to see this thing take off a bit. So we're watching it very closely. As of now, I don't see this coming in as a major hurricane, but a Category 1, perhaps a Category 2 is possible somewhere on the Louisiana coast. Flash flood risk gets moderate. We're on level 3 out of 4. Could see some areas in that high risk by the time this makes landfall, especially down toward Houma, Baton Rouge, New Orleans. They've seen a ton of rain down that way. Moderate risk extends all the way back to the Texas border, and this could be nudged east if that current forecast track kind of bears out. Also, we have that marginal risk, level 1 of 5, for some severe weather out of this potential tropical cyclone that should become a tropical cyclone here, I think probably today. Possibly with that aircraft that's in there now, they could find that. And they're just, looks like they're about ready to turn back toward the northwest, maybe after one more run here, and they're going to go up and see what they can find. If they can find that well-defined center, then this will go straight to being a named system. But that is that's your severe weather outlook. I think more importantly on this one, especially for our area where we're near and possibly to the left of the track, is how much rain will fall. Up towards Shreveport, there's a scenario where you don't see much at all. So this is kind of averaging everything out, but it looks like that heaviest nose of 7 to 10 inches is going to come up from New Iberia, Lafayette, into Baton Rouge. Houma, 4 to 7, 4 to 8 inches of rain down there, where you've seen tons here recently. Up this way, it's track dependent, but I think probably 3 to 6 inches of rainfall with wind gusts over 40 miles per hour likely here in Alexandria, and could be quite a bit stronger just to the east. We could see some 60 to 70 mile per hour gusts, especially down in St. Landry and Avoyelles Parish. So if you are in those areas, that's where I'm kind of highlighting as the area that we could see a stronger impact here. But again, this all depends on what we see with the track today. So 7-day forecast. Let's show you what we've got going on. Obviously, rain, going to be windy on Wednesday. 100% coverage. Even if this does go like right up the Mississippi River, I think we'll see some rain in our western parishes, though it's going to be a lot different than what we see out east. I took rain chances down a bit Thursday. That's a morning deal. This will be departing by then. I think by Thursday afternoon, things are looking pretty good. And then we head into the weekend, not bad at all. 88 over 69 to 71 for those lows. So looking pretty good. We don't need to go into the 8 to 14 day or anything. Let's go back to that satellite and show you that. I'll kind of run back through these tropical models and things like that. I'll pull myself back up. Oop, display capture. I'm just showing myself there. There we go. So that right there, actually, while I can throw this up there just to show you another thing. First off, this is the airplane right now. And you can see up here, this area right here, that's where they passed through either the trough axis or the center. Winds kind of get lighter in there. Pressure was down around 1,003 millibars, which is what I expected them to find. And then now this is flying on that southern flank here. And as it gets into that southeastern side, we're not seeing as strong of winds up at flight level. But they're going to cut back up this way, cut back through that center. Possibly, again, on this pass, I could see them turn back up to try and meet that center somewhere around the 23 north, and I think it was 94-ish, 94.5 west. So that's what they're doing there right now. And let me just keep this browser up here for just a second, and I'll show you. We're in the recon. Going to current storms. This is Tropical Tidbits. This is a great site if you want to kind of dork out on weather stuff. This here is showing the GFS ensembles that really range from the Texas-Louisiana border to New Orleans. If this were on a different path, which it's rare to see an approach from the southwest in this area, if this were coming in from the southeast and moving up this way, well, we'd have huge problems for the whole state, and it still looks pretty significant. But coming in like this and moving toward the northeast, you can see that that this is most likely going to impact areas of the central Louisiana coast, and then it's going to, as I said, come up toward the northeast, but then bend right up the Mississippi River. That's kind of what things are showing right now. So definitely a leftward bend here as this comes inland, and probably impacts our area sometime Wednesday. Wednesday morning, I think it really kind of kicks off and then pretty much goes through the day and into the nighttime hours. So that was a little fun on Tropical Tidbits. This is just, and actually, you know, I can show you a different representation of this, that even, this kind of goes off our scale here. So I'm going to pull this infrared satellite imagery up from Tidbits and show you what we have here. So we'll go back to the display capture. But look at these. Whoops, there we go. Look at these purples. Purple is minus 80 or colder. So these are some massively high cloud tops that are getting to minus 90 Celsius. I looked up the record on this, and it looks like we've seen higher cloud tops than this in the world, but this is really, I was wondering, I'm like, how close are we to the highest ever measured here? And from what I saw some conflicting reports, but I think it was minus 111 was the record they'd ever measured. So yeah, we're close to that top end of the scale here. And when we see these purples, a lot of times it's just going to be in an individual thunderstorm. So to see this big cluster of storms here as this organizes and moves on toward the north-northwest, yes, this is an interesting system for sure, and an undisturbed Gulf of Mexico. I'm going to pull Facebook back. There we go. Okay, so here again, if you missed it, tropical models, we'll just take you right back through it. I know we already did the 7-day and all that. The models overnight, if you're just tuning in, did shift a bit to the east. This is typical to see a little bit of a back and forth here. I don't think it's going to go much further east. Maybe a hair, but I still think no matter what, the eastern half of our area is going to see an impact. Could be, if we see a slight nudge east, much less impact out in the western parishes. And here is your official NHC forecast. You see those winds at 50? This does not have a name yet. It's not been classified because it doesn't have that closed circulation. But Category 1 hurricane somewhere south of Cameron Parish Wednesday at 1 p.m. And then this is going to come inland. Tropical storm somewhere over St. Landry of Oils, something like that, at 60 miles per hour for the maximum sustained winds. Now, those are not going to so much follow close to that center exactly as this moves inland. We could see even maximum winds out over the water still at this point. But if we were to verify this track, I think we'd see some scattered to numerous power outages right up through our eastern parishes. And again, I'm going to break that down parish by parish later today, but this is just an idea of what happened overnight here with this, and that was a slight push to the east. There is a flash flood risk because we've seen a ton of rain lately. We have that moderate risk in place for Wednesday. And a severe outlook, marginal risk for severe storms along and east of the center, which in all likelihood is going to be near Alexandria or to the east. So that keeps us on the side that's not going to see as much severe weather. But even, if you're 50 to 100 miles west of that center, you're still going to see some heavy rainfall here. It looks like a general 3 to 6 inches with the lower totals out west and the higher totals down to the southeast, where we could see someone getting over 10 inches of rain. And one more quick look at the 7-day, then we'll get out of here. And I'm going to run over, talk to the folks at KLAX about this, and then, oops, I keep hitting the wrong button. I'm going crazy, folks. And then later today, I'm going to put out the full big text update with everything on the parish by parish stuff, and we'll really kind of start to nail down those specifics. But rain, obviously Wednesday, going to be windy. By Thursday, things depart, and then we get back to a normal, nice weekend. Typical September stuff there, upper 80s with overnight lows in the 60s and 70s. I'll pull this back up while I'm saying goodbye here. But that's it for today. For now, Tom's going to be live later today. It's yard work day and prep for the hurricane, tropical storm, whatever comes inland. So Tom's doing that. I will be posting an update by 3 o'clock. This will have your parish by parish breakdown and the latest track update and all that good stuff, all the models, everything. I'm going to keep you informed. Tom's going to keep you informed, and we've got you covered right here. I will see you back here later. I could see me doing multiple streams whenever. We could do Q&A stuff and all that stuff. Let me actually look at a few questions here. Any likelihood this shifts west again? Yeah, okay, and that's one thing I didn't hit on. Yes. What we're seeing here is this system coming together right now. So the big thing here is, where does the center come together? So if we see the center form, on the eastern edge of these thunderstorms here, well, that's a different, we call jumping off point for this track to start moving. Let's just say in a vacuum, this thing's going to move on a general path north and to the northeast. Well, if you start out here on the eastern edge of this, and you do that, well, that's a further east track. You start closer to the Mexican border there, and that comes up, and that's going to be more of an impact here. So it really depends on where that center consolidates. And if we find that that's west of the model points where they're initializing this, then yes, it could come a little further west. If we find it's east, it could be a little further east. If it's right on the money, well, then we're getting a pretty good idea of things. So seeing more data go into the models and seeing that eastward shift was encouraging for the western half of the area, not so much for the eastern. We never like to say good news because it's going to shift the problem to someone else. But, for that area in western Louisiana, the overnight runs were slightly encouraging, but this is not an all clear by any stretch at all. But yes, this is going to impact Kristen, you want to know that too? Oh, I'm going to give you the full forecast. Don't you worry about that. I think I gave them the full forecast too. But yeah, it depends on where we see that thing form, and I'm just going to see if I have one more update on where that airplane is right now. Because I don't think they're going to be to the center yet. No, they haven't even gotten a new update in. But yeah, that's going to be important. If they do classify this, and let's see, right now, where are they showing the center as of this morning? Let's see. I got to get exact coordinates here. So I'll show you where that center, as of 7 p.m., 7 a.m., sorry, it was at 2295, basically. So, I don't have the, I do have the lat long here, but that's going to be pretty, that's 90 right there. So 95 would be, I'm trying to get an estimated kind of location on this center right here. Let's just say 545 miles south of Cameron, Louisiana. Okay, so let's go in here and we will measure. I'm going to go over the analysis. Sorry, I'm just kind of freewheeling it now. You feel free to go on and do your thing here, but I figure this is pretty important stuff. So that is the radar. Let's see. I'm trying to move it on the wrong screen. I'm going to pull up satellite here, I think. National. Oh, here we go. So the GOES IR. Trying to get a color one here. That doesn't matter. Okay, so 545 miles south of Cameron. That's where they are showing that center right now. So Cameron, you're right here. 545-ish. So that was a few hours ago, and it's moving toward the northwest. So they're probably putting that center right around there. Now, if it forms more up in where these thunderstorms are, if we get that center to form out here under the center of these thunderstorms, yeah, we could see a bit of a west shift. That's a couple hours old right here, but and that's a rough estimate with it saying 545 miles south of Cameron. Also 305 miles southeast of the Rio Grande. So 305 south-southeast. So south-southeast, 305. That's probably a better representation right here. So that's where they're saying that center was at 7 o'clock. So yeah, I mean, if we see a center form west of kind of this area here, well, then we could be dealing with a little bit of a westward shift. But right now, I think they're pretty well on the ball with all this stuff. So yeah, we'll be watching it closely. I'll have updates throughout the day. And while it's always hard to say goodbye, I am going to get out of here. Oh, thank you, Kristen, putting up the app. Download the app, website, all that stuff. But a lot of this is going to be coming out on social media. We will be talking about everything here, and it's the best way to communicate. And I like Facebook because I can interact with you all. All right, Mom, when should you start worrying? About 45 years ago. All right, I'll see you guys later. Have a great Monday. We will keep you informed.